Hello everyone, welcome to Vishesh Educational Videos. So in this video, I'm explaining system model in operating system, one of the important topic in deadlocks. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. To get the notification of my new videos, please click the bell icon. And please don't forget to share with your friends. Let me begin the explanation of system model in operating system. So system model in operating system, consider a system that contains finite number of resources. Here in system model, I should consider that a system must contain, that means our computer should contain finite number of resources, and that resources can be shared among the processes. Right guys? So see here. So here our system or computer contains two processes, and these two processes are competing processes, and this process P1 and process P2 are competing for the resources. Right? So here the resources can be memory, CPU, output input device like printer, keyboard, etc. Getting guys? So a system must contain finite number of resources, and that resources should distributed among number of processes. Here these resources, memory, CPU and printer, can be shared between these two processes P1 and P2. Right guys? Right? So next, and the resources are partitioned into several types. If I say a resource, that resources can be divided into several types. You can see here memory is a one device, memory is a one type of resource, CPU is one type of resource, printer is one type of resource. Here the resources can be grouped into separate types. Next, and each type of a resource can contain some identical instances. For example, here you can see a printer is a resource type. Here in printer resource type, this contains 5 different printers. Understanding guys? Here printer resource type can contain 5 different printers. That means 5 printer instances. They are identical. This is also a printer, this is also a printer, this is also a printer, this is also a printer. Totally 5 printers are there. Getting guys? So that printer resource type can contain as many number of printers as it wants. Right guys? Very simple. So next, so if I say resource, that resource can be memory space, CPU cycles, IO devices, etc. You know that. And if a system has 2 CPUs, then the resource type CPU has 2 instances. In the same way here, if the system has 5 printers, then the printer resource can have 5 instances. You can see here printer is a resource, and this printer can contain 5 instances. Here in the same way, memory can here the memory contains 1 instance, CPU contain 1 instance, but the printer contains how many instances? 5 instances. And these 5 printers, the 5 instances can be shared between process P1 and process P2. Getting guys? Very simple. Next, very important thing. So if a process requests for any particular resource, and that resource should be right, the allocated resource should be of same type. What does it mean? See here, when a process P1 request for the printer, you should allocate the printer only for the process P1. You should not allocate the memory or a CPU. That is not possible. When a process requests for a particular type of resource, then you need to allocate that resource only. Then only the request is satisfied. If a printer is requested, you have to allocate the printer itself, not other resources. Then only your request will be satisfied. And one more important thing, see here, to explain this, I will consider a scenario. See here, the printers, 2 printers are available. So one printer is in the 4th floor and one printer is in the ground floor. So assume like that. So 2 printers are available here. assume like that. So one printer is in the basement and one fourth floor, and one printer is in the ground floor, right? Suppose. So the output means what is the output of the printer here? The document, the printout what you are going to get from the printer that is in the ground floor, and the printer that is in the fourth floor. If you are not worried about the output, then no problem, you can group the printer into a single type. You can group both the printers that is in the ground floor and that is in the fourth floor into a single type, because what is the output you are getting from the printer, that output can be assessed by ground floor people also, fourth floor people also, and the people, and both the people that is in the ground floor, that is in the fourth floor, both of them want the same document, then no problem. But assume that fourth floor people wants the different document, printout of the different document, and the ground floor people wants the printout of the different document. Then you can't group the printer in the ground floor and the printer in the fourth floor as a same type. No. Then if it is a case, if you want a printout, different printout for a ground floor, if you want to different printout for a fourth floor, then you have to group these printers as separate classes, separate resource classes. For example, printer 1 for ground floor, printer 4 for fourth floor. So printer 4 can be used by fourth floor people, printer 1 can be used by ground floor people. Like that you have to group. Separate classes you have to group. Otherwise it will be a problem, right? So that is only I have explained here. So if you have two printers, if they belongs to same people, you can group all the printers in a same type class. But if one printer is in one floor and another printer is in another floor, and the outputs of the different printers are different, then you have to group them in a separate resource class, right? And next thing, so if a process wants to use the resource, a process must request a resource first. Once the resources usage of resources is completed, right, then it has to release that resource after using it. Simple. Remember this. A process must request a resource before using it, and after usage is completed, it must release the resource after using it. And one more important thing, a process may request as many resources as it requires to carry out its task. There is no limit here. There may be a finite number of resources, but process may request as many resources as it wants. Next thing, and another important thing, the number of resources requested may not exceed the total number of resources available. Very simple. See here, suppose think that there are 3 printers available and the process is requesting 4 printers. No, it's not possible. So the number of resources that is available should not exceed the number of resources that is requested. If 4 printers are available, you have to request for either 4 printers or 3 printers or 2 printers or 1 printer. So number of requested resources should not exceed the total number of resources available. If 4 resources are available, you can't request for the 5 resources. That is one more important thing you have to taken care of, right? Next, under the normal operation mode, right, suppose if a process wants to use a resource, or if a process wants to utilize a resource, what are the commands a process can use? For example, if a process wants to use a resource, I already told you, it should request the resource. Process has to request the resource before using it, right? See here, if the request cannot be granted immediately, that means if a process is going to request the resource that is used by another process, what you have to do? right? If a resource is used by another process, then the requesting process must wait until it can acquire the resource. Getting, guys? So if a process is requested the resource that is already in use, it should wait until that resource is available. It should released by another process. Now, if suppose if the requested resource is available, then process can operate that resource. Obviously, it can use that resource. So the process can, for example, if a resource is printer, the process can use the printer. Next, after using the resource, the process has to release the resource. That means after using the printer, the process has to release the printer, because it can be utilized for other processes. It can be utilized for other processes. That is very important, right? If a process wants to use a resource, it should request it, it should use it, and it should, after the completion of the usage, it should release it. Getting, guys? Now, and one more important thing here you should know here, the request and release are nothing but a system calls. System calls means these are nothing but the functions of a operating system, right? You know that, right? So, and one more important thing, if you don't want to implement this request and release as a system calls, you can use this as a semaphore also, right? That is also a possibility, right? And one more important thing, so here OS has to maintain the amount of resources that are used by each processes or each thread. Getting, guys? You have to keep a record of the resources that are used by each processes. How you are going to do this? The operating system, to keep a record of all the resources that are used by the process and the resources that are free, what it going to do means, it is going to maintain a table called system table. The operating system is going to maintain a table called system table, where system table records whether each resource is free or allocated. Getting, guys? So for each resource that is allocated, the table also records the process, obviously. So table should contain the process details also and the allocated resource details also, because you are going to allocate the resource to a process, right? That's why. And if a process requests a resource that is currently allocated to another process, what you have to do? It can be added to a queue of processes, waiting queue. You can allocate, you can add that process to the waiting queue. Getting, guys? It should wait until the resources become available. So this is very important. OS should maintain a table, right? And the next thing, when two or more processes, right, using the same resources, there is chances are there the process may enter into a deadlock. So now, what is a deadlock? I will explain deadlock in a very simple way. See here. So see, one process, suppose if one process is waiting for the resource which is held by the second process. First process is waiting for the resource, simple word. See here, first process is waiting for the resource that is held by the second process, and the second process is waiting for the resource that is held by the third process. In the same way, third process is waiting for the resource that is held by the first process. Don't get confused. I will take the example, then you will easily understand. For example, so you can see here, so process 2 is waiting for the resource from process 1. In the same way, process 3 is waiting for the resource from process 2. In the same way, process 1 is waiting for the resource from process 3. Here, so these processes can't continue their operation. Why? So for process 1 to continue its operation, it need a resource from a process 3. But process 3 can't give its resource, because for process 3 to continue its operation, it need a resource from process 2. But process 2 can't give its resource, because process 2 is waiting for the resource from process 1. right? So each process is waiting for the resource that is held by the another process that can't give. So that's why these processes are in a deadlock state. They can't continue, right? So if it's a multi-programming operating system, then you should take care of these deadlocks. Otherwise, your system will suffer from starvation, right? So that's it, guys. If you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section. Thank you for watching the video.